So the topic today, Ray, is gifting tables.
A gifting table, that's right. I wrote an article recently about this, what they call a women's empowerment group called the Gifting Table. And I had a friend involved in it 3 years ago, three and a half years ago. And it was very interesting because I had no idea what it was in the beginning. I would just hear her on the phone talking about soup and salad and appetizers and entrees and dessert constantly, about bringing women in and meeting on Tuesday nights. It was set in stone. Tuesday night was the ladies' night, was the ladies' night out. And I asked her at one point, is this a ladies' night out? And that's the title of my article is, This Is Not Ladies' Night Out. And she said, no, this is a women's empowerment group. It's just for women, and men have nothing to do with it. And I said, oh, okay, that's great. Okay, so you get together and you talk, and we help. She said we support women, and we get together, and we have questions that spark conversation at each event, each Tuesday night. But I kept hearing her on the phone about dessert and appetizer and entrees and soup and salad. So one time, not even making the connection, I said, am I ever going to get an invitation to this event you're planning? And she said, what event? I said, well, I hear you talking about planning these appetizers and these dinner courses. It sounds like a big deal. Is it a fundraiser? She said, no, pretend you never heard that. It's not for men. That's for us alone. And I was like, okay, hands off. I will not speak of that again. Well, I then saw an online alert from the Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection about something called the Gifting Table, and that it was a pyramid scheme, and that many Connecticut women were involved. And there were those terms: appetizer, soup and salad, entree, dessert. And all the pieces fell in together in just a microsecond. And I thought, oh boy, it is very illegal, because it is as illegal as what Bernie Madoff was doing. It is a clear and distinct pyramid scheme, straight out of the old school. However, there was no central organization. It was just women getting together, and it was all cash-based, and it was all terribly secret. When women were invited to these Tuesday night events, which were typically in someone's home, they would be told or instructed not to tell your husband, not to tell anybody about it afterwards. And when you got there, you would hear all these great things about how women were supported and how it changed their life. Your entry gift to come in at the first level, 8 women at the appetizer level, was $5,000 cash, which you would hand over to the single woman at the dessert level.
That's the highest.
The highest one. That's the payout level. So she paid her $5,000 to get in at the appetizer level. And then over the course of time, as other women came in, she was at dessert, she would then get 8 gifts of $5,000, totaling $40,000 cash. Well, she would then leave. And they claimed that was their out, that this women's empowerment group was to do that each woman would then be. Pyramid schemes didn't work that way. Pyramid schemes was always one person at the top receiving all the money. They said their out was that woman then left. Well, it doesn't really matter what they said. The IRS said this is an illegal pyramid scheme.
That matters.
Hey there, cats and kittens. My name is Alonda Carter, and I am the recovering Hunbot. I create anti-MLM, that's multi-level marketing videos, and on occasion, I do dip my toes into true crime. But if you really think about it, isn't multi-level marketing criminal? Today's video is part 3 of the Women's Gifting Table Handbook. In part 1, I covered the introduction to the handbook, and in part 2, I went over the section of the handbook that talked about U.S. tax codes and also the statement that the women signed who entered the gifting table scheme. If you haven't seen any of the episodes of Murder on Middle Beach that was created by Madison Hamburg, I urge you to do so. It is excellent. And all of this came about because I heard about this 4-part docuseries. Madison was 18 when his mother, Barbara, was killed. Barbara was part of this whole gifting table scheme that took place in Connecticut in 2008 through about 2010. Unbeknownst to Madison, his mother was involved in this whole gifting table scheme, which some have said is a pyramid scheme, others have said Ponzi scheme, and others have even related it to multi-level marketing. No matter the name you slap on it, it really doesn't matter. What happened was women were paying $5,000 to initially join because they were working their way up to get to that dessert level, the position on top, so that they would be able to walk away being gifted $40,000. At the time when Barbara was murdered, she was at the dessert level, which means that she was in the position to receive that $40,000. Now, 10 years later, we still don't know who took Barbara's life. Her case is now one of the cold case files. And hopefully, through Madison's documentary and through creating videos like this, somebody will come forward because there is someone out there that knows what happened and why it happened. If you have any information pertaining to who killed Barbara Hamburg, please contact the Madison Police Department at 203-245-2721, or you can also use the website that Madison created, which is barbarahamburgtips.com. One of my subs shared with me this handbook, so I'm going to apologize in advance again for the poor resolution, but this is all we have, so you're going to just have to bear with me. And trust me, when I'm reading it to you, it's hard for me to comprehend. It's like, okay, what is this word? So I know it's going to be hard for you, but just, let go of that. Do not send any hate to anyone involved in multi-level marketing, anyone mentioned in this video, because that's not the point. It's really to shine a light on a scheme that has happened over and over and over again over the course of history, and also to help resolve the case of who killed Barbara. This video is based off of my experience, my research, and my opinions. I want to acknowledge my patrons before we get started. Thank you so very much for your support. Because of you, I was able to order a much better camera. Right now, I've been using a webcam because that's what works best for me. And I hope that getting this camera, I will be able to create better videos, but please be patient with me because it's going to take time for me to learn how to use it. I also want to thank each of you who watches my videos, because without you, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this, and I certainly wouldn't be worried about upping my game and making better quality videos for you. I really hope to improve my overall video production, but I have a full-time job. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. This is a hobby because it's something that I do enjoy doing, and I want to just share more stories with how people have been scammed, prevent people from being scammed. And it's going to take me time, to figure out a whole new camera setup type thing, because I just don't have the time to go and figure it all out immediately. It's going to be kind of like I'm learning as I go. So again, just be patient with me, and I'll let you know when I start using it. And I just hope that it will be fun for me to learn to use. And now let's check out what kept this gifting table safe and legal. What keeps our table safe and legal? Many women who consider joining our table have heard about other types of gifting tables. Our table, the women's gifting table, began close to 30 years ago. It was inspired and created by several Canadian social workers, an ingenious way to raise money to build a shelter for abused women. In order to accomplish their mission, these fearless and dedicated women created table guidelines that provided a framework that made it possible for these dedicated women to accomplish their mission of building a shelter. Since then, the tables have continued to provide an opportunity and an arena for countless women to manifest abundance and empower not only themselves, but other women to create their own futures. Over the years, the guidelines have not changed. Many women have had their attorneys and accountants review the guidelines and have all received the same answer. They have been repeatedly told that as long as those who participate in our tables continue to adhere to the guidelines, the tables will continue to be safe and legal. This is why we stress the importance of reading and knowing the guidelines when we invite women to join the table. It is for their protection as well as the protection of the table as a whole. If you research gifting opportunities on the internet, you may find that there is a lot of bad press that has been published against women's gifting opportunities. However, it must be noted that the press is referring to other types of pyramid or Ponzi schemes. Our table should not be confused with other types of network markets, as we have very specific rules that we follow that set us apart from other groups. Many different types of gifting opportunities who are not governed by the same guidelines have gotten themselves into legal trouble for a variety of reasons. A lot of these groups involved men. That's mistake number one. Our particular guidelines have been reviewed many times by many lawyers and accountants. Over and over, they have stated that as long as we follow the guidelines, we are completely within the law. One of our other documents is called the U.S. Tax Laws. It is taken directly from the guidelines and fully explains why gifting is legal. It also cites the constitutional amendment concerning U.S. gifting laws. Okay, next I'm going to cover the 12 reasons why the women's gifting table is safe and legal. And as I go through these, this is where some of it starts getting really degraded in terms of the resolution. And so there's going to be parts that I just simply can't read. So we're going to have to just kind of fill in the blank mentally and skip on and just kind of, go with it. One, every U.S. citizen is allowed to annually gift anyone up to $13,000. This means that you can gift up to $13,000 to as many friends as you want in any given year. And you can receive up to $13,000 from as many friends as you want in a given year. Since these are gifts, they never need to report it as earnings on a federal income tax return. Two, we sign and keep gifting statements for our records. These state that what we are sending is, in fact, a gift, not a business agreement or transaction for goods or services. Our gifting statement is one that has been approved by many attorneys and accountants to be safe and legal. Three, we use the magic words for a reason to keep us legal and not a business in the eyes of the law. Four, we do not hold meetings in public places. We have gatherings in the privacy of our own homes. The table is a secret society of women who operate quietly and discreetly within the perimeters of the law. It is because we don't want the tax laws to ever change that we remain under the radar and only share the table with women who we completely trust. Five, we communicate by either private emails or cell phones. Six, when we cannot gift cash in person, we send our gifts in overnight express mail through non-government regulated agencies such as Federal Express and UPS, which are private mail carrier services. Again, this has to do with the federal trade laws and ensures that what we are doing is legal. Seven, we never wire transfer money and creatively place gifts into different accounts. Senior sisters who have had the experience of being gifted on multiple tables are also available to counsel women on ways to creatively manage their gifts. Eight, in the guidelines, it states that if a woman cannot fulfill her obligation to the table, she needs to leave the table. 9, we are a no fear table of women. Each woman has gifted and is at our table, has vowed to commit to all of her sisters throughout the life of the table until she has successfully gone through dessert. Once she is out of dessert, she can choose to rejoin a group or simply walk away. Almost all women rejoin. 10, and this is where it's really hard for me to read. To ensure the stability of current and future tables, the sisters are very particular about whom they invite to join their tables. The tables are not right for most women, nor are most women right for all tables. Therefore, any invitation to join should be considered a gift from someone who thinks highly of you. The woman who invites you is someone who, I can't read it, and cares about your financial, spiritual growth and feels that you would be an asset to the table. 11, the most important component to the success of the table is trust. Trust in the process. Trust in the friend who introduced you to the table. Trust in the other women who are currently at the table that you are currently joining. And trust in yourself in believing that you have just been given the greatest gift and opportunity of a lifetime. We never put pressure on any woman to join our tables, as we only want women who are fully committed to the process and journey. 12, like many things we choose to pursue in life, the table has to come at the right time for you. Timing is everything. Some women who are considering joining the table need more time to either manifest their gifts or speak to their friends about joining them on their table journeys. We encourage each woman to take the time she needs to feel comfortable in arriving at her decision. We would never expect a woman to base her decision to join a table after only one phone call or indeed, there are some of us who have done just that and have since been through dessert numerous times. Our heartfelt advice to any woman who receives an invitation is to explore the possibilities that this incredible gift represents. By attending a party, being on one or more of the calls, speaking with other table sisters, each woman will know if the table is coming to her at the appropriate time in her life and if it is right for her. She may find, as so many women have, that the table is truly the greatest gift that one friend could ever give to another. Wow. I mean, getting through that, what I see initially, just straight off the top of my head, is I see women being groomed. I see people coming to believe these words because this is coming from someone that they know, someone who they trust, and it's telling you all those things. And it's really playing with the trust that you have between friends. That they try to tell you the origin story of the gifting table, but no names are mentioned and nothing, no details are really given. Yesterday, I was on the phone with my friend Robert Fitzpatrick. If you've been in anti-MLM for a while, you may have heard that name, but the name may also be new to you. He has been fighting against multi-level marketing for years. He runs the blog pyramidschemealert.org, which was originally started with Dr. John Taylor. If you don't know Robert or you don't know John, Google their names. Anyway, he tells this story in I think it's his first book called False Prophets. He got involved in, fighting against MLMs because back in the 70s, he was part of the airplane game. The airplane game functions very much just like this whole gifting table. There's just different words for the different levels and everything. He joined when he lived in Florida. Now, when he started doing research for his book, much like me, because I've been trying to figure out, like, where did this really, really come from? He couldn't find anything. He did find something that said, well, it started in the Northwest. And then that led him to, like, it started in British Columbia. But to me, it ends up kind of being like, an urban legend where, you've heard about it, but you don't know where it really started and there's no proof of anything. I will say this, scams like this, like the gifting table, have always been around. People have always been scamming each other. Here is a piece of advice. If someone is having to defend their business or an opportunity over and over again, that should be an absolute huge, huge red flag. I see that a lot in the comment section when Huns are going to come in, and it's like, I got one recently on my Market America video because they're like, Market America isn't multi-level marketing, it's direct sales. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, quacks like a duck. I mean, it is a duck. You look at the language that is used, it falls right in line with multi-level marketing. In my opinion, it doesn't matter if you call it direct sales, network marketing, social selling, multi-level marketing. They operate in the same way. You pay to enter it. You have to recruit people. The more people you recruit, the more money you are likely to make. And overall, you have to pay something to remain active. There's usually some way that you have to do something so that you have the opportunity to potentially earn by being active. So again, I don't care what name you call it. It doesn't matter. You could call it Strawberry Fields. It still operates in the same way. Now, as I go through the docuseries that Madison created, and as I share with you this booklet, I mean, I kind of feel like I am gathering up information for me to talk to you later, not now, later, about, my thoughts about how and why Barbara may have joined, what may have happened to get her to say yes to this, because to me, that it's fascinating and sad since she's no longer with us. And I am hoping that through Madison's docuseries and videos like this one, that something will happen and we will be able to find out who killed Barbara. Now, yeah, gifting is illegal. And in the last video I did on this part 2, I talked about a little bit about, like, the tax laws in the US. I am not an accountant or anything like that. You'd have to look the stuff up. But in my opinion, they were skating a razor thin line. And I find it so hard to believe that all these numerous lawyers, numerous accountants looked at this and they like, check, yep, looks good to me. Totally legal. I can't wrap my head around anyone that has a background in law or crunching numbers is going to give this a thumbs up. It doesn't make sense to me. However, what does make sense to me is for women to be told the same story over and over and over. And yes, of course, many women have had their attorney look at it, and their attorney came to the same conclusion that all these other attorneys came to. And her accountant came to the same conclusion that all these other accountants did, that you're fine because it's a gift. And again, I go back to, these are women who know each other. This is not just some stranger on the street. This is someone you know. For instance, with Barbara, it was her Aunt Jill who got her in. And I want you just to think about this, because I mean, if my aunt came to me and my aunt knew that I was having financial difficulties, because at the time, Barbara didn't have a job that I have been able to identify. Her husband wasn't paying alimony or child support. She had been cashing out her IRA. And my aunt comes to me. So if I'm in that kind of state, my aunt comes to me and is like, Alonda, there's this thing that you can join. These women, they're amazing. They're so supportive. They've helped me, knowing that my aunt has been on the financial struggle bus. And to hear that it helped her, and I'm sitting here going, oh, how am I going to pay for my bills? Well, I can do that. Really? People will give this to me? Oh, well, yeah, sign me up. Because that's someone who's close to you. That's a family member that you have a long history with. I mean, I would feel very weird. Like, if my aunt came to me and I was like, would be like, well, let me check this out. Let me just Google some stuff. Because I would feel like somehow that I'm breaching that trust. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you? Because I feel like, she's my aunt. She's older than me. She's always looked out for me. I remember when she'd bounce me on her knee, when I was 5 years old. And I remember, going to her house, doing the Easter egg hunts and all of that. I have all of these memories of what I did with my aunt. And so why would I think that my aunt would mislead me? I mean, she's older than me. She's been around the block more times than I have. I would think, yeah, okay, this sounds on the up and up because someone who I love and that I know is telling me it worked for them and they're showing me proof. And I would be like, yeah, let's do it. Now, that would be the me that doesn't know about, multi-level marketing and all the research that I've been doing. But the me before all of this, I can see why someone would say yes to this. Does that make sense to you? Before I forget, I've been meaning to say this. Let me know if you'd like me to have Robert Fitzpatrick come on here where he and I can discuss this scheme and also how he went through the airplane game and how all of these kind of interrelate to each other. If you're interested in that, drop me something in the comments. Also, maybe I could have attorney Doug Brooks back also. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He has fought a lot against multi-level marketing. He's helped with the Herbalife case. Also, he fought a case against Nixium, which was a sex cult. And it was also, personal development type stuff. And that case is Nixium versus Rick Ross. So you can Google that stuff too. What are your thoughts about all of this? About like these 12 reasons why, this is legal and it's safe. Did any of this stand out to you? Did any of it, kind of like make your spidey sense go off? I mean, I would think maybe all of it, but I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are about this part of the booklet that women received when they were, considering joining the gifting table. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I will create another part to this, since this is my third part. If you want me to continue, like going through this booklet, I find it very fascinating. And again, I've said this before in the other parts, is that to me, it's just like a bird's eye view into how and why people join multi-level marketing. And if you didn't know this, I'm a former Hunbot, hence recovering Hunbot. I was a Beachbody Hun. And so I find it so fascinating to look at things now that I'm on the other side, now that I've like stripped away all of that thought reform that I went through. Thanks again for being here. And remember, you're beautiful and I love you.